Hey guys, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the very first update for my Pan That palette. I am panning the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette for 2020. Of course, it's not even 2020 yet, and I have already started this project. I've been working on this since October because I was really looking forward to starting to use this palette. I really wanted to just delve in and hop right to it. If you haven't seen my introduction for this project, I highly suggest that you go and watch that so you can understand why I selected this palette, but I really want to just reserve these updates to share with you guys my progress and some of my insights that I've discovered over the last few weeks. So it's been about 6 weeks since I first introduced this palette, and I'm really excited to say there are some changes that have been made within the palette. I will put on the screen right now what my palette looked like when I first introduced it back in October so that you can really reflect on what it was looking like. This is what the palette is looking like now. So there are definitely some visible changes. Most notably, this shade right here called Ludwin has a pretty significant pan in it. That was my initial goal, was to hit pan in that shade before this update, so I'm really happy to have done so. It's a gorgeous matte, warm, kind of orangey shade. I have it on my transition today, both on my lid and on my lower lash line, and it really does pair with a lot of warm toned eyeshadows just in general. So really versatile. I've gotten a ton of use out of it. When I hit pan on it, I ended up just continuing to use it and making sure to reach for it pretty frequently. And another notable change is that this shade right here, which is called Lucius, does have a pretty significant dip. It's really hard to tell on camera, but there's a pretty significant dip happening in the top of this pan. And that's because I've been using this to set down my concealer pretty much every single day, so that's been reached for a ton. I know by the next month I should be able to hit pan on that shade, no problem. I actually thought I may have been able to by now, but I'm just so excited to share with you guys the update. I cannot wait. So yeah, not any major changes elsewhere. Like there's definitely some usage showing on this shade right here, a little bit of usage showing here, and in this larger, more yellow toned setting shade as well. But generally speaking, those two pans are the ones that have the most use on them. I'm so happy that the initial goal of hitting pan in this shade called Ludwin was achieved. My other goal with this palette was to be able to use up 1 gram of product. I think that's going to be my ongoing goal between updates, is to always be able to use 1 gram of product from this palette, which I didn't really know if that was something that was going to be attainable, but I wanted to see it through, and I actually managed to use 1.46 grams of product over this past month. This palette has seen a lot of use for me, especially because I started this project just before Halloween. I reached for several of these shades doing Halloween makeup. I have been reaching for this on an every single day basis, not only as an eyeshadow, but some of these shades I use through my brows, some I use to set underneath my eyes, some I use as a contour shade, and so this has been getting a lot of usage and it is very versatile for me. And for the next update, I do have a couple goals that I'd like to hit. Primarily, I'd love to hit pan in this shade right here, which is called Lucius. I don't think that that's unattainable at all. I really do think that that's coming quite soon. And then this shade right here called Semel or Semel? I honestly don't know. It's just a nice mid-toned, slightly cool brown. Like it's a very neutral, actually, brown shade. I'd love to hit pan in this soon, but I don't think I can do that by the next update. So I'd love to start seeing a dip happening in that, and I'll just have to reach for this shade pretty frequently. It is a really good transition shade, so I don't see that being a problem. I'm not sure that this is something I'd like to share in every single one of these updates. I just feel like it would be quite lengthy, but I've been keeping track of this just for my own personal use. So I have a note in my phone that is my Pan That palette progress. And since I introduced this project in October, I have been marking every single time I use any of these shadows. And you can see a couple of them haven't even been used at all. So I grabbed this image off of Google that had all of the names of the shades. Of course, I could have built that on my own, but it was just easier to grab something that was already online. And I will track every day which shadows I use. So you can see like Ludwin, I did use 25 times. Lucius, I've used 17 times. latest I've used 15 times, and so I'm getting really good use out of some of these shades, but then there's other shades that I haven't even touched. Solace is the one that I haven't touched yet, and Latinus. Those are the two that I haven't used at all. So given the fact that I was unable to use every single one of these shades over the last like month and a half, I'd really like to set myself a goal of using every single eyeshadow for the next update. So I'd like to use everyone at least 2 times. That's not unattainable at all, because most of these shadows got more than 2 uses, but some of them didn't get touched at all. So I just like to make sure that I reach for each of these at least twice. That way I can really get familiar with each color in this palette. And I'd like to hit pan on this shade right here. This one is called Lucius. I know pan is coming very, very soon, so I'd love to just hit pan on that by the next update. That'll keep me nice and motivated to continue to reach for this between updates. And I'd love to start seeing a dip happening in this shade right here. This one is called Samael, and I'd love to start seeing a dip happening in there. I've used it already 10 times since I started this project, and it doesn't really look like it's changed all that much. So I want to see some more visible use out of this for sure. So by the next time I update this project, there should be a lot more usage happening on this palette, but that doesn't mean that I'm unhappy with how it stands right now. I'm really happy actually with the way that it looks and how much I've been reaching for this and how much use I've gotten out of it. So this is definitely a project that I'm really excited to see come to fruition. I can't wait to see how 2020 using this palette really goes for me. I honestly cannot wait to keep using this palette throughout 2020. I will be updating this project again at the beginning of February so that you guys can see where I stand in 2 months' time. And yeah, that's absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.